This is Dads and Dunks, your to-the-point Wolves Talk podcast. I'm Tom.
And I'm Josh.
This week, we went 1-3. Not awesome. We're going to recap the week, talk about what it means that Ant and Jaden are both banged up heading into the playoffs. Is it time to panic? We'll dig into Ant's numbers against good and bad teams, and Gobert's, unfortunately, and close out with KG returning to the Target Center. So, Josh, what's up first?
Well, first up, it's the weekly tip-off. We'll walk through last week's action, the scores, the standout moments, and the storylines that carry us into the week ahead. And as you alluded to, Tom, kind of a bummer week. Wolves go 1-3. We smoked Dallas on Monday. Felt like it might be okay. Lost to Detroit. Kind of got boat raced by Philly, and Charlotte just stomped us in the second half. So 1-3. Ant played, I guess, technically in the Philly game, right? That's the game he played?
He did, but not really.
Yeah, scored 8 points, just didn't look like himself. Jaden didn't play any of these games. So yeah, I know we normally talk about each game individually, but I think overall, the vibes are down. It wasn't a great week. I love your perspective on this. It feels like we're kind of locked in the 6th spot. It feels like Denver's pretty much going to get the 3 spot because if people aren't aware, Luka Doncic has some hamstring injury that he's going to Europe to get some like experimental treatment on. Austin Reeves is out for the rest of the regular season, might be part of the playoffs. So they're tied, but it feels like Denver's going to take that spot. I'm kind of just thinking about the playoffs. We've got this week left. What are you thinking about?
In my notes, I was writing the same thing. I was like, I was going to go to recap some of this week a little bit, but then looking at next week's games, I was like, I don't even really care to do predictions of next week's games, especially because the Pacers are totally trying to tank, so there's no reason to dive into that. When you look on the NBA app, I was going to, as a side note for the Pacers, 3 of the 5 of their starters, you don't know their names, believe me, unless you're just like such a hardcore NBA like follower. 3 of the players on there don't even have Pacers jerseys on in their photos.
Oh, yeah. They've got a heavy injury list. That injury list, is a pretty good team.
Yeah. So anyway, thinking about the end of the season, it looks like we're locked into the 6th spot. It does look like Denver's locked into the 3 spot. I'd love to talk about that a little bit. And then other just things to recap. The Dallas win, great. Dallas isn't a great game, but an Io triple-double. We can talk a little bit about Io and his future.
That was cool. That was really cool, man. He's so good.
He's really stepping up, and I have some questions to throw your way around Io and maybe what next year looks like too with him and where we think he lines up and where he plays for this Wolves team because he's coming back. There's no way they're letting him go. And then Philly, like nothing substantial from the Philly game. I like watching Philly, like I've said before, but a bummer of a week. I got to go to the Charlotte game, which is why we didn't have a Sunday night pod. So just want to throw that out there for those of you. This is late. We'll get it edited and get it up to you all. My 5-year-old Julian's first game. It was awesome. He went right into he loved it. He went right into the shop, then picked out a white Wolves hat with Josh's favorite logo. So it's the white hat with the black brim, and then the fierce wolf kid with the trees. So he made a beeline right for that. But then he went for the foam finger. He had to go all out. The Dippin' Dots, the popcorn. We had a good time. So definitely spoiled him. Even though it was a loss, we made it till halftime. He's 5, or just before halftime. He's like, I think it's past my bedtime. I want to go. I was like, good for you,
honestly,
bud.
You left at a good time.
Yeah, and then came back and watched it on TV. It was not great. But early on, my takeaway from that was, man, when Julius Randle looks bad and he's throwing bad passes, there's a little bit of momentum. You get Bones Highland knocking down threes. You get Mike Conley knocking down a 3. People are excited. And then you get Randle just looking terrible. And you get Nas. Oh my gosh, all the missed like short mid-range floaters that he was putting up that he was missing. So just overall, when you score, what do we have, 21 points in the first quarter? It's maybe an indication of what was to come the rest of the day. Even with some bright spots, even with Bones making some shots and some good ball movement, getting out and running. Slow-mo bounce pass to Rudy for a Euro step slam dunk from the free throw line. There were some moments that looked good, but overall, this team, there's no reason to dive too far into it because this is a playoff team with Jaden and Ant is going to look so different than this. So highlight is Io and some good play. But overall, we can't read too much into this week. And I'm much more interested in looking into the future in the playoffs and having that chat with you.
Do you think Nas is hurt?
He's always doing the shoulder thing.
I know. I feel like
After
I
he
see
hurt
him
his
doing that
shoulder.
too. And he's missing shots that I feel like he doesn't normally miss. Like, I think he's normally money around the rim. He's got really good moves. He's got really good touch. But to your point, he was 3 for 14 in that Charlotte game. 0 for 4 from 3. But that means he was still 3 for 10 from 2. And like, all he takes is like shots by the rim. He doesn't take mid ranges. Man, I think he's hurt.
It looks like it. Do we know what the original diagnosis is? Just a shoulder strain, right?
Yeah. I mean, which that could,
Yeah. I
my wife
mean,
is a
as someone who's had
PT.
shoulder,
That could be
when
anything.
you go, yeah, when you go too far out and trying to protect your shoulder, maybe subconsciously, I'm not sure. Yeah, he doesn't look full strength either, which is a pack of wolves limping into battle
Well,
against the
it was weird
Nuggets.
too because in Finch's post game, and you're more the post game guy than I am, but Finch was like I don't know if he's hurt or like maybe we need to look into that or something. I was like, you don't know? You're the head coach. This guy makes $25 million a year. You don't know if his shoulder's okay or not? Like,
He
tell
had,
us or figure
yeah,
it out.
his commentary around Ant was really similar. We're day to day.
Yeah.
Okay.
I also
Jaden
don't.
similarly.
Well, Jaden is week to week, which I'm like, well, that doesn't sound great.
Nope.
And for those of you who maybe aren't locked on every single game, like maybe I am, like shocker, the Wolves only have 4 regular season games left. This is the last week of the regular season. So we're not going to like really get into the games too much, but we play the Pacers tonight, Tuesday. We play Orlando Wednesday in Orlando. We play Houston Friday in Houston. And then we finish Sunday at home versus the Pelicans. I mean, you would think we beat Indiana, we beat New Orleans. Maybe we beat Orlando, probably lose to Houston, depending on if anybody's playing. But like, it doesn't really matter. Like, I
It
think
doesn't matter.
we're the 6th seed. I mean, if Nas is hurt, like, I just wouldn't play him this week. If Io
Yeah,
or DDB or anybody has any bumps, like, I just wouldn't play them.
have it be over. Let some of your other guys play and run. I think our guys are still better than this Pacers squad and the Pelican squad. We
But
just
even if
need to
you
get
lose,
one
like,
of those wins.
who cares? I just don't, like, can we fall to the 7th seed? I mean, if I look
We'd
at
have
it,
to lose. We'd have to lose all. I think we'd have to lose all of them, and the Suns would have to like win all of them, basically. So winning one guarantees us the 6th spot, from what I gather.
we're kind of like doom and gloom. Oh, the vibes are bad. Like, and if you look at the last 10, we're 5-5. The Suns are 4-6. It's so interesting how that stuff works.
We're going to be the 6th seed, and it's really just if Denver's the 3 seed. And I want to talk a little bit about that instead as we look forward, because the playoffs are so much more fun. Jokic just had, was it 33rd triple-double or something of the season?
I love the
Ridiculous.
nickname for that shot. They call it the somber shuffle. The shot over Victor Wembanyama. It's just like, that's an iconic name. Yes, and also we were kind of talking about how, next week's pod, we will recap this week, but we're really going to think about it much more as like a playoff preview. So, yep, we'll recap these 4 games, but really, like, we want to dive into the playoffs. There's going to be the play-in, so there'll be a little bit of time, but I think it's going to be really interesting to think about, like, where are we at? What's the injury news? All of those things. It's kind of what I'm excited about. I mean, I love the regular season, but, like, we're so close to the playoffs. I love NBA playoff basketball. It's so fun. Yeah,
It's
I'm really
intense.
excited.
It's months of intense basketball, and now that the Wolves are in the playoffs and have a chance to continue to go deeper into the playoffs, the energy is so much better too. It's so fun. So I'm getting ready for that too. Yeah, we'll preview some matchups and see what it's looking like with health news for next week. So that's going to be a fun one. But we still have this one, so don't go anywhere. We're going to keep going. So we want to move on to the next thing.
Yep. So we'll jump into Stat Chat. But first, we're going to talk about our newest sponsor, which is shower wipes. So let's be real. Most body wipes suck. They're too small, too dry, and they never actually get rid of any sweat or odor. That's why today's sponsor, Shower, is built different. Shower body wipes are huge, packed with powerful ingredients, and individually wrapped to actually clean, refresh, and deodorize your skin. Toss a few in your bag for a quick refresh, whether you're coming from the gym, the airport, a long day at work, or just life on the move. So if you're looking for a way to feel fresh on the go, check out shower.co. That's shwr.co. And right now, when you buy a box, they'll send you another one for free. Just use the promo code DUNKS, DUNKS, at checkout. All right, for Stat Chat, we're going to look at kind of our net ratings. We're going to look at some other stats. I did this last time, Tom. What do you think was our offensive rating these last 4 games?
24th.
26th.
All right.
What do you think our defensive rating is? Last week it was number 1.
Was 1. I can't imagine that it's still in the top 16.
5th.
Really? Okay, so better than I anticipated.
And our net rating is 17th, which I feel like is a little misleading. I didn't feel like we're like an average team this past week, but and then if you look at the season, we are currently 13th on offense, we're 5th on defense, and we have a 10th net rating. So people talk about it's really important to be top 10 in both. Not top 10 on offense, definitely top 10 on defense. I haven't pulled these if you like accounted for the games Ants missed. I feel like the offensive rating would be much, much higher. Defensive rating might be a little lower, but I think they'd be top 10. So I think to your point, we just need to have a healthy squad, and then I think we can roll the ball out there and see who can win. And shout out, this came from Wolf Wise Statistics. If anybody's on Twitter, it's an account. They have really cool data and stats about the Timberwolves. It's It's at Wolf Wise Stats. But they talked about last week. They had a stat about as the playoffs approach, they looked at the Wolves' 10 hardest games this season and compared player performance versus their season average using ESPN's total net points. And if you look at it, Anthony Edwards is the only player on the Wolves roster that meaningfully improves when we're playing our toughest opponents. But on the flip side, and you kind of alluded to this, Tom, Rudy Gobert performs really well. Rudy Gobert performs well under his average against the most difficult competition, like the most elite teams. So it's interesting. Ant goes up. Conley gets a little bit less bad, but everybody else like goes down a little bit, which I mean kind of makes sense. You know, you're playing the best teams, you'd think they wouldn't perform as well. But it's interesting that Ant elevates against the best teams, which I feel like passes the eyeball test, and Rudy takes a step backwards, which I also think in many cases passes the eyeball test. But would love your perspective on this too, Tom.
Yeah, when you pulled this, I thought, oh, this does make sense. And we have talked about this before, but now there's a stat to put to that, which thank you for pulling that. Shout out again. We know Ant steps up. I'm excited about that in the playoffs, especially if he can be healthy. Big question mark there, which gets me a little bit panicked about his health. But if healthy, I take Ant in those clutch moments against big teams any day. Would make sense that the rest of your more average or just, good players play a little bit worse against really good teams because they're really good teams. So I think that checks out. The Rudy part, when people talked to me early on in the season, I was actually at a Halloween part. My kids' friends' parents had a Halloween party or something, and I was talking to a parent there, and they're like, "We got to get rid of Rudy." And I was like, "Yeah, I don't necessarily disagree, but Rudy gets us to the playoffs.
Yeah.
Rudy's defense is the reason why we have the record that we have a lot of the time because our defense is bad without Rudy, and his shortcomings offensively certainly stand out in the playoffs, and he isn't quite as big of a defensive force in the playoffs. So it's a catch-22. He is one of the biggest anchors of the team defensively. He makes up for a lot of other people's errors defensively. And then we get to the playoffs, and you got to play a different kind of basketball, and you got to maybe not play him as much. And I don't know if you have that. What other team has one of their starters not able to play in the playoffs that is a core guy? I guess arguably, your third best player on the team.
Yeah.
It's tough. I don't know. How about you?
So I co-sign everything you said. What really stuck out to me was the last thing you talked about, how many teams have like a integral starter who, kind of has to take a step back in the playoffs. I kind of feel like we have 2 of those because I feel like Julius Randle is kind of in the same boat when you're playing like the really elite teams. I know he played great against the Lakers last year, who didn't really have a matchup for him. He played great against the Warriors, and they had Draymond on him, and I thought he still kind of cooked him. But OKC, he just didn't have anything for them. My concern is kind of to your point, like those are 2 of our 4 best players. I would say Ant, Jaden, Julius, and Rudy. No disrespect to Io or DDV, but yeah, like those two guys can't necessarily do or haven't shown that they can do against the most elite teams what they do against, I don't know, the bottom feeders, the regular NBA teams. And that's why I'm a little bit concerned about it, getting a deep playoff run. I'm a little bit concerned that we really need Ant and Jaden and Nas to be healthy because I think we're really, really, really going to rely on those guys. And I do feel like Jaden played really well in the playoffs last year. I feel like, Ant seems to always level up in the playoffs, but I think we're going to need some big Nas minutes too. If the other 2 4-5s maybe take a step back. Yeah, you could play Kyle Anderson more, but I don't know how many teams are winning playoff series if Kyle Anderson's playing 25, 30 minutes. I love him, but I just don't think that's like the role for him. But what do you think?
I would bet how many minutes? What do you think the over under is on Kyle Anderson minutes in the playoffs for the Wolves?
Well, if we're playing Denver in the first round, like, would you put him on Jokic? Like, do you think he's like a Jokic? Not a Jokic stopper, that doesn't exist, but like, hey, we'd rather have
Yeah,
Kyle
he's
Anderson on
he's
Jokic.
long. He's long and smart and defends well, especially again. I think it maybe matches up well against. Well, no one matches up well against Jokic, but in terms of his
Yeah, yeah,
body
yeah,
type and play style,
yeah.
as well as anybody on our
He's
team.
just smart, and I feel like you got to be smart because, like, Jokic isn't a phenomenal athlete. He gets you by like touch and being cunning and his guile and his good passing. And I don't think Kyle would go for a lot of like the fakes and stuff. He would just like try to play solid defense, not give up an advantage to somebody. I also think that Jokic is going to get our bigs in foul trouble. So I would say the over under is like 20 minutes, which seems like a
Okay,
lot.
seems like a lot.
But if one of those guys gets in foul trouble, I could see him playing 22 minutes a game.
Yeah,
Like
it's a
when
lot. I
Rudy's
was
not
gonna
out
say,
there, is Kyle Anderson out there? But it's probably not 20 because Rudy's gonna have to play a ton in this first round series because it's Jokic. It's not like we're playing a team that I feel like now I'm contradicting everything I said about this, like how Rudy can't play against great teams. The numbers show that he struggles, but I think also depends on the opponent. And we don't have anybody else who can reasonably match up with Jokic, so Rudy probably has to play a lot. And I don't think you can do the lurking off of Jokic thing anymore because Aaron Gordon has been hitting his threes this year. So Rudy's probably on Jokic. So but if he
he
gets
has
in
to be.
foul, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I think
Yeah,
Kyle Anderson has a meaningful role because I think if Rudy's not on him, I guess you could play Julius, but he'll get beat up. He could get in foul trouble. He has to play offense. If Nas's shoulder is bad, he's got no chance against Jokic. It's probably Kyle. I don't know.
yeah. I was gonna put his over under at like 14 and a half, just like total.
It's probably more
Would be like a
reasonable. Yeah.
guesstimation, a couple of shifts. But then if he gets a couple of shifts and he also has to come in for someone in foul trouble, he's easily over that. So I think that's where we head.
What I do hope,
I go for it.
what I do hope is, I'm thinking back to like the Christmas Denver game and the Denver game after that. They didn't match up Rudy's minutes with Jokic's minutes. And like when Jokic was off the court, Rudy had like a good plus minus. I think they just need to play Rudy when Jokic is out there and use a different lineup, whether they go small or they do something else. But I think you have to use all of Rudy's energy and minutes on Jokic.
It feels like it now. I think the way that Denver is currently constructed, you have to. And we'll before next week's
Do you think Baron
pod,
J gets any
we'll
minutes? Like break glass in emergency, maybe? Yeah, probably
I
not.
think with Kyle Anderson, probably not,
Yeah, probably not.
unfortunately.
That'd also be tough. Like, hey, man, you haven't really played regular rotation minutes. Go guard the best player on planet Earth. Good luck. He also weighs you by like 100 pounds.
And I to the Kyle Anderson point, I think that actually gets us pretty nicely into our one big thing, because I think that Kyle Anderson minutes are also contingent upon our topic for one big thing too. You want to get there? All right, let's do it. TNT custom design sheds give you the extra room you need for storage, projects, or anything you want out of the house but still close by. Upgrade your space and make life a little easier with TNT custom sheds. Contact them directly at ttcustomshed@yahoo.com. All right, Josh, we've talked about this a lot. I'm sure everybody knows what our one big thing is by now, but go for it.
It's Anthony Edwards. It's his injury. It's everything. I mean, really, it's his injury, but it's so many things. So like he's not going to get any postseason awards because he missed the 65 game threshold. It's the fact that this knee thing seems to be lingering. He came back for that Philly game and people said he was, he's ill or he's injured or whatever, but he just did not look right. I really wish he wouldn't have played in that game. And we really need him to have like any shot in the playoffs. And we should say he's already been ruled out for the Indiana game today.
Yeah, that Philly game, he had just some sick footwork on a step back three. And I was like, oh my gosh, this guy is special. It wasn't a great game, but man, do we need him? Any team would need him. His injury, though, especially because it feels like a use injury. Going into the playoffs, you have to rest it, but the playoffs are intense. And he elevates his game in the playoffs. He plays harder in the playoffs. That's a toll. You're going to go 6 or 7 games with these teams. You're playing every other day. You're doing that to go all the way for a couple of months at a time. That's concerning. And that's why I said it was maybe a good segue into talking Kyle Anderson minutes, other players' minutes. If he has to rest a little bit in the playoffs, I think we're screwed regardless because you need him to play. But I think that's where the panic comes in. It feels like that might actually have to happen. And especially now in Jaden, if he's not 100% and you need to throw some other players in there, you're looking at Ant and Jaden not being able to play the full time at 100% against a team like Denver, against any of these teams in the West.
Yeah.
Other than the Lakers, because we'll beat them anyway, because I have to stay on my Lakers suck train.
I mean, if the Lakers could just go on some type of historical end of season run and get the 3 seed and we play them and we can disregard all the stuff about Denver, I'd feel a lot better. But this is not financial advice. Don't bet on that happening. Yeah, I think the thing too, like you brought up like the added toll in the playoffs. I don't think Ant's played very great defense this year, but in the playoffs, he's always played really hard on both ends. I mean, unless he just gets way better over the next week, like I don't know if he just has the ability, the capacity to be able to do that. And as we've seen with kind of the net ratings and how our team is doing with his timeout, like our offense is just cratered. So like you need him from an offensive perspective to help to create, to have gravity, to do all the things that he does. But then like, you're putting a hole on defense. I mean, the Jaden thing, I don't think we're talking about that enough. Man, I think Jaden is probably our second most impactful all-around player. I think part of the reason the vibes are so bad is those guys, although they're young and maybe they don't do the leadership things that like a Mike Conley or a Kyle Anderson does, I think they're just like the cool like team leaders. Like people want them to like dap them up. They want them to think that the plays they made were cool. And like when they're out there playing, I think our team takes a hit. I think they also both have an edge. Ants, I mean, he's a little more funny, playful, but like he locks in when somebody challenges him. Jaden like hates every other team. He hates all the other players. He does like the disrespectful like self slams at the end of games that like only a psychotic person would do because you're like up by 15. Like you need that. I think those guys really provide that beyond like their physical talent. So, man, whatever kind of juju we got to sprinkle on their injuries so they can get healthy. I did see one thing. If we finish, so the Wolves did a trade where we are swapping first round picks with Detroit. But if we finish, I think 19th, like the 19th pick or earlier, so like between 1 and 19, we get to keep our pick. We don't actually owe them anything. And we're at like 21 right now. So maybe we get to keep our pick. I don't know. Like that would be kind of cool. It's a loaded draft. But playoffs, Josh, focus. I think we really need those guys to get healthy to have a chance. It's kind of fun that we're playing Denver. We played Denver so much the past few years. Like I feel like it is a really good rivalry. They always have the upper hand because they won a championship. But man, to get to play Jokic, I just wish it wasn't the first round.
The storylines around it are cool. I think we can dive into that a little bit more with the players we've brought in and our GM that we have, and just everything else around building teams. The team we built to beat them when we
Yeah.
had Cat and Rudy, and yeah, it's too bad because I don't know about you in the West. Real quick before we go to our last thing, unless there's one more you want to add, I was curious. A healthy Wolves squad. So let's just say they're healthy. Jaden's
Hmm.
fully healthy. Ant's fully healthy. Doesn't feel that way, but let's say yeah, we're gonna be happy about it. They're healthy.
Yeah.
Do they? And say Denver's healthy, mostly healthy, maybe nicked up here or there, but their core players are all healthy. Do you see the Wolves, regardless, winning that series?
If both teams are relatively healthy, if both teams' stars are healthy, I feel like Denver beats us.
Feels like a slugfest to me. I think we can elevate. Okay, what other teams in the West, if you're ranking teams in a series if we're all relatively healthy, other than Denver and OKC, do you feel that way about the Spurs? I mean, they're technically ahead of Denver.
Mm. I mean, the thing is, I know you're telling me to pretend like we're healthy. I just don't. It's hard for me to like pretend that we're healthy because I don't think we're going to be healthy. Um, I mean, also same thing with Denver though. Like Aaron Gordon, his hamstring has been bad all year. Like something could happen and he misses a few games, and then I think we can beat Denver. And again, I said I would pick Denver to beat us. I think we could beat Denver. I don't think they're like unbeatable. OKC is the class. They're so deep. They won the championship. I think the Spurs are great. I don't think the Spurs are going to make the finals. I don't think they're going to make the West Finals. I just think like you have to get some lumps in the playoffs, even though I think Wemby's amazing. They've got tons of great guards. So I think we could beat the Spurs. I mean, I think we could beat Denver. I wouldn't pick us to beat Denver. I think we could beat Houston. I think we could beat LA. I mean, because honestly, like when we're healthy, like we're a really talented, good team. And especially too, when we try hard. And I think we would try hard in the playoffs.
Yeah. And you do, I mean, it does hold that most of the time you do have to lose in the playoffs as a team before you make it. Wemby maybe could be that player that so special that isn't the case, but that is generally the case. And I remember when I miss the Karl Anthony Towns, Anthony Edwards like post game pressers so much. I loved those. And there was like when they asked Cat like how much more losing we got to do when they made it to the Western Conference Finals. Because they had lost, they had taken some lumps, and he had been losing for a while, so that does hold. But I miss those. I'm nostalgic for those.
Also, if we're going to play Denver in the first round, I'm like, can we trade Julius back to New York for Cat for this series? I'd even throw in DDV if I have to, because I think that gives us a better shot of winning against that particular team. And I love DDV. Don't get me wrong, but yeah, it's crazy to think that we were built to beat a certain team and things shift, and then you make these changes. But you're right. I mean, when we played Dallas in the Western Conference Finals, OKC lost to Dallas in that second round. And they were kind of like this young ascending team. And then the next year, they win the championship. Giannis had to get his lumps. Curry got his lumps. Jokic, they lost a number of times in the playoffs. It happens. But we'll see. They're a pretty great team, the Spurs.
Yeah, and I know we're poo-pooing the last 4 games of the season. There might be a pick on the line, but there is also the big news of the return of Kevin Garnett for the end of this. So I don't know if you want to transition this into KG, the welcome home game for Howl or Foul.
I do. But before we get started, I want to make a note that this segment is brought to you by Ellie Anderson Psychotherapy. Ellie specializes in brain spotting and inner child work, the same therapeutic approaches many athletes use to manage pressure, stay grounded, and work through performance issues. But these approaches aren't just for athletes. They're accessible and effective for anyone navigating stressful situations. These methods work well for anyone who hasn't tried therapy before, or for anyone who has tried traditional talk therapy and didn't get the benefits they hoped for. Learn more at ellieandersonpsychotherapy.com. So today, our Howl or Foul question is something that I just texted you because I was thinking about it. And so the news came out, and you actually texted me about this. So April 12th, that last home game against the Pelicans, it's like fan appreciation night. KG is returning. And so I said, do you think that will be a sellout? So our Howl or Foul question is, the April 12th game, the KG return, will be a sellout. Howl or Foul for you, Tom?
Howl.
Yeah, I think it's an absolute how.
Uh, it's a meaningless game, but it's Kevin Garnett. So it just has to be. Right? It just has to be a sellout for KG's return. It's kind of a bummer that it doesn't matter and that players won't be playing, but people could just show up to see KG and stick around long enough and just have that be the reason to go to the game. I think KG himself, regardless of how the game turns out or who we're playing, I think could sell out Target Center, right?
I think so. I remember when we traded back for him. I think he was up with the Nets at the time. It was 2018. And like a couple of my buddies I was teaching at the time were like, let's go. Like, we got tickets. They were like nosebleeds. But like, I was like, I have to be there. It was so loud. That was one of the loudest ovations I've probably ever heard at Target Center was when KG returned, walked out, put his hand up. It's cool. It's fan appreciation night. Also, like, man, if it would be like a playoff game, if his first game back was like game 3 against Denver, oh my God, like people would lose their absolute minds. Maybe he'll be back for playoff games too, but that was one thing I was thinking. I'm like, the last game of the regular season against New Orleans, it'll probably be a sellout,
Interesting
but
mark. Yeah, interesting marketing choice on that one. I mean, I guess you're gonna sell way more tickets than
fan appreciation night, I
you
mean, maybe they're like,
would
hey,
have.
we have to give you something to come out for. But yeah, if he like just walked out or was like on the court, like I don't know if they give him the microphone because he would say things that are probably not appropriate, but I just like everyone would just like lose their minds. That would be so cool.
Yeah. Yeah, like just hold it for a potential, like, I don't know, potential big game 6 or something at home before you go on the road for a game 7 and just have him be there. That'd be nuts. But I mean, either way, it's exciting and it's big news to have him back. And
Yeah,
he's been around the org now for a little bit, but I think the fans will be excited to see him.
for sure. No, I'm excited. I'm glad he's going to be back and hopefully makes a couple playoff games. That'd be great.
Heck yeah. All right. Well, that's all I got for that one. I think it's going to be a sellout for sure. The people love KG. How could you not? And other than that, I can roll us right into the end if you want.
Do it.
All right, let's do it. So we have Helping the Pack. This is our way of lifting up youth athletes and growing our community. Head to dadsanddunks.com to support local youth sports fundraisers, teams, and families in need. If you have something you want us to promote, email us directly at dadsanddunks@gmail.com. If you like the show, follow, rate, like, subscribe, and tell a friend.
New clips and content for Wolves Community Conversations dropping on Instagram and YouTube all week.
This is Dads and Dunks. Go Wolves.
Go Wolves.